Joining me live now is Afghan refugee and journalist Khalid Amiri. Khalid, you are there in Melbourne. We thank you for talking to us this morning. A year on, it must still be difficult to watch what's happening in your home country.
Good morning, Laura, and thank you so much for having me. Today, it's again 15th August, and today is the anniversary of the fall of Kabul. And near that, it's been 1 year that Taliban took over Afghanistan. And today, this day will be remembered as a dark day in the modern history of Afghanistan. And that's why I've got a black ribbon on my arm in order to show solidarity with the people left in Afghanistan. And it's just a message to tell the world that, yes, it's a dark and black day for us and in our history.
Indeed it is. And how much harder has life got for your colleagues, your friends, your family that you left behind?
Well, Laura, if we see since Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, 70% of the media houses in Afghanistan have been shut and closed. And the rest that are operating in Afghanistan are under severe suppression and threatening condition. We recently saw that women in Kabul were protesting for their rights and they were beaten with lashes. Many women were disappeared. Many were kidnapped. So situation is getting worse day by day. We see that a famine, a humanitarian catastrophe is unfolding in Afghanistan. We saw horrific images and heart-wrenching images from Kabul where parents were selling their children in streets of Kabul because they could not feed them. There's a brain drain going on. Every youngster in Afghanistan that you meet today or that you talk to is finding a way to leave the country because they see no future under Taliban. The current Taliban regime is no longer protecting the basic human rights. Women are confined to their homes. Girls are not allowed to go to their schools. Women professors that were teaching at Kabul University are told not to come. So things are getting worse day by day. And the worst part is that the rest of the world is just watching in silence.
Yeah, that must be really difficult as well. What do you expect the rest of the world to do? Because I know from a Western allies' point of view, particularly Australia, we spent 20 years in Afghanistan trying to hold off Taliban forces, and then in just a couple of days, that was all reversed.
Well, 15th August 2021 was very traumatic for Afghanistan and for the Afghan people, particularly for me, because we felt betrayed, we felt abandoned. A nation of 35 million people were left behind, and a terrorist group that was killing them for the past 20 years was given a platform to rule a country. Look, Laura, the international community spent trillions of dollars in Afghanistan. We saw that the NATO and the coalition forces lost more than 3,000 men in this war. And today we see what is the result. That same terrorist group has taken over that country and it's ruling it. The current interior minister of the Taliban government in Kabul, Sirajuddin Haqqani, is a wanted global terrorist. If you Google his name, there is a bounty, there is a prize money on his head, and he's roaming around freely in Kabul. Laura, let me be very clear that for a terrorist, surviving is winning. Today, the Taliban terrorists are not only surviving, but they are thriving. They are ruling over a country. So this is alarming, not only for Afghanistan, for the Afghan people, but for the rest of the world. Today, my country is becoming a breeding ground for global terrorism. We recently witnessed the assassination of Ayman al-Zawahiri, who was assassinated through a US drone in the heart of Kabul. So this shows that the Al-Qaeda is planning to regroup, where its top leader was even killed and spotted in our country, Kabul, Afghanistan.
I know you have still great emotional links to Afghanistan and, of course, ties with your family and friends there, but now you call Melbourne home. How difficult has the transition been?
Well, Laura, in initial days, it was very traumatic. It was very heartbreaking. I passed through severe depression and anxiety because we never thought we'll have to leave our homes like this, and then all the dreams and all our lives that we had worked for, we had to leave behind and then settle in another corner of the world where you never thought of. But then I'll be very honest that the picture was totally different. Upon our arrival to Australia, we were received with so much warmth, so much affection, not only by the government, but by the people, by the local community that made us feel home, that told us that, yeah, this is your new home, no matter what is your background, wherever you come from, Australia is your home. And I'm really, really happy to call Australia my second home because I not only see a better and a safe life for myself, but I see a good life for my siblings and for my sisters who are here with me, who can go to schools and colleges here, while if they were in Afghanistan, this right would have been snatched from them. I'm very lucky enough that I've been granted a scholarship at the University of Melbourne, where I'm pursuing my dreams, where I'm studying. So yeah, the Australian government, the Australian people made sure that my life is not only safe, but they are guaranteeing me a safer, a brighter, and a good future.
Well, it's good to see that smile on your face, Khalid. We thank you for talking to us. Appreciate it.
An absolute pleasure, Laura. Thank you for having me.